When it comes to sports car racing in North America, one place has become synonymous with it: Road Atlanta. So for our drivers who call this place home, of course we'll kick things off here. Let's see who gets a win on home soil as we get ready to watch the Driving Club at Road Atlanta Winter iRacing League. And you'll see it all live here on the Global SimRacing Channel. Hi, I'm Joe Peak, and with me in the booth is Roush Racing driver Joey Atterbury. Behind the scenes, our director Ryan Bauer, and he's using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. These drivers know this place inside and out, but in case you don't, why don't we head to our track guide? Welcome to Road Atlanta, the scene of incredible sports car racing for decades and the home to the Petit Le Mans. This is a track that has proven itself to be worthy of attention on a world stage. With it being situated only an hour northeast of Atlanta, Georgia, the circuit is in a prime location. But despite its flagship race, in contrast to the real Le Mans, the full course is a measly 2.5 miles long. The club layouts also clock in at just under 2 miles. Packed within this small lap length is a series of technical and challenging corners, some of which can be race-ending even when small mistakes are made. Turn 1 is a fast sweeper which compresses the car into the track, but the high speeds mean that when you go off, you typically go off in a big way. Turn 3 is notorious for its curved entry into a blind apex. Too far inside and you face a cut course penalty. Too far outside and you're likely to spin out. Then there's the unassuming Turn 5. The wide curving lures you into getting greedy, but the close walls on either side gobble up cars and spit them out as a crumpled heap. With all the tricky fast turns, that's not to say that there aren't passing opportunities. The main one comes at the chicane at the bottom of the backstretch. The huge downhill drop into the turn makes outbraking yourself quite easy though, so be careful. The whole thing wraps up with the frightening final corner. With nothing but a giant wall right to the outside as cars fly through at high speed, it's not often that wrecks are small. Boasting a wide swath of series over its history, everything from NASCAR to Indy Lights and of course IMSA, the main use of the track is SCCA events and driving schools. No wonder this place is popular both in real life and here on the iRacing service. Fans will no doubt get to enjoy many more years of action at this incredible track. Just a favorite amongst many in the road racing scene. This place is certainly picked up over the last 3 decades.
I love Road Atlanta. 12 turns, 2.54 miles in length, and one of the most exciting circuits in all of North America, really known for its endurance road racing into the night with Petit Le Mans. But to talk about the track itself, Turn 1, incredibly fast and flowing, will challenge the drivers all race long. And then turns 2 and 3 here in the sim, incredibly difficult to spot those apexes, especially if you are coming up over the crest at Turn 2, be able to turn into Turn 3 appropriately. But then it's business as usual down through the S's. Turn 5 you always have to watch out for, especially in the GT3 cars. If you jump over that exit curb, it can spin you off to driver's left-hand side. As always, Turn 7, one of the most important corners on the racetrack because it leads out onto that monster back straightaway and into the biggest passing opportunity known as Turns 10A and B. Then it's as simple as up over the crest at 11, down the hill through 12, and that's a lap around Road Atlanta, Joe.
Yep, and what helps them here at Road Atlanta? Well, the driving club at Road Atlanta Winter iRacing League is powered by DiscoveryParts. DiscoveryParts is a supporter of DCRA and brings a full range of safety gear for the members at the private track day events. By bringing a wide selection of safety gear, they make sure that DCRA members get the perfect gear the first time, every time. Big thanks to them for helping bring this one to air. And let's not forget, we've got a couple races tonight. Very interesting format that we have here, Joey.
Round 1 of 5, and what we are going to see is qualifying plus a 20-minute sprint, and then after that sprint race, we are going to see a second race. They're going to call it a feature. It's going to be 5 minutes longer, so 25 minutes in total length there. An open setup. That means all of the drivers, they can tweak and tune on the car as they see fit. If they need it to turn a little bit, maybe be a little bit more loose, well, guess what? They can make those adjustments and really suit the car as they need. A drive-through penalty at 25 95X, which means if you get into some trouble out there, you do have a few incident points to rely on. I don't think that's going to come into factor here today, Joe.
Exactly. It's a track that doesn't take lightly to cars going off, so tends to see damage more than just racking up those incident points. As we take a look at David Madden, who is on the provisional pole. They've actually been in qualifying for an hour and a half, so they've had a long time to try and get the best out of this. But even with that, Joey, it is a 0.004 of a second between David and Gummer out there.
Incredibly close between the top two. I'm also noticing third place here, Torres, only a 1/4 of a second out of it. You got to go all the way back down to 6th place to find the first car that is outside of 1 second. So I think the competition very, very close.
Indeed. I'm checking to see if anybody is looking like they might improve. Cameron Campbell might. He's at the start of his lap. He sits in 11th, last of the times that have been set currently. And with this being in the GT3 cars, they, of course, have their pick of many different makes. You talked about it being open setup. Well, more than that, you can figure out which you feel most comfortable in as well.
I really enjoyed the GT3 class. If you don't like one of the cars, well, guess what? I think you got 7 different ones to choose from at that point, or 7 more to choose from. I'm seeing the Ferrari 296 currently our provisional pole sitter with Madden, but then P2 is the Porsche, P3 is the BMW, and I see also a Lamborghini a little bit further back. I believe that's Todd Westfelling in the number 21 and the only Lamborghini in tonight's field.
Cameron's going to join him in the Lambo, but yeah, those are the only two that we've got out there in the car right now. And was a good lap for Campbell. He actually just went off the track a little bit, it looks like. In the meantime, Madden's latest lap was a bit off, about 0.6 off of his personal best, so he'll have to cycle back around. They are able to complete these hot laps here today. So as long as you start a lap before that timer is over, you'll be able to come back around and finish it.
The other thing that I'm noticing about this qualifying session is that it is open. Not only is the setup open, but everybody is on the track at the same time. In the sim, that is not always the case. A lot of times it is just one car out there. You do your solo qualifying, but here you actually have to manage the flow with other drivers on the racetrack. You can easily get caught up, especially if you are on a hot lap, if somebody takes you by surprise and then all of a sudden slows you down.
Riding on board with Gummer now as JBL brings it up and over turn 3, and then back down the hill we go. That is Jason Owens in front of him currently, who is also sitting, I believe, in 5th place, so a little bit farther down the order. And it looks like also Tim Finbert, I think he's quickly coming up to the back of, but hopefully he'll catch him here on the backstretch where he won't be an issue.
If he gets held up at all through 7, I think you're right, he's far enough ahead, but Finbert just, not quite on the racing line. Gummer has to go to the left side. You saw how crucial turn number 7 is, and Jamie L was just trying to do everything that he could to put that pedal to the floor, accelerate out of 7. And I actually see he's still tracking pretty good for his lap time.
He's about 2 or 3 tenths off of his best right now, so it'll take a very good last few corners to make up for that. Down through the chicane, he's improving slightly, but I don't think it is quite enough. So the number 9 brings it to the timing line with about 3 minutes left on the clock, and it looks like that one actually got deleted.
Might have just been from an off-track incident at some point. I noticed that he ran pretty wide on the exit of turn 5 as there's a car spun around there in turn 1. You never want to see that as you're approaching it. Now we ride on board with Daniel Vincent back here in the number 5 car. He comes up out of that turn 10A, 10B chicane, down the hill here at Road Atlanta. And Joe, I haven't ever asked you, have you been to Road Atlanta before?
I have not yet. I believe I will be making a trip to it this year on my real-world schedule. So excited for that, because that'll be a first for me.
It's pretty cool. I wanted to talk about the hill down towards turn 12, a view that the DCRA members have an awesome, if they pretty much look out the balcony there, they can see down the hill. It is incredibly steep from 11 down to 12. It will take your breath away, and trust me, when you drive into the racetrack for the first time, the front gates are right there. You will see how steep that hill really is.
It looks like it's pretty tall. And Daniel Vincent here, ooh, he's tracking pretty good. But a tenth quicker right now. He's coming out of turn 7 onto the backstretch, but boy, he had a saw away at the wheel.
You always want to try to square up turn number 7, get the square launch out of it. I'm seeing that he's losing just a little bit of time down the back straightaway from that, about a tenth or 2 off of his previous fast. And now we've got the Rusty's car. It kind of fits with the Ferrari, though, doesn't it, with the red?
Looks a lot more aggressive, though, than the original, I have to say. So he is going to bring it around that number 2, not exactly the number 5, but that's Lin Tran currently coming up over through turn 3 himself. He's quickly approaching Tyler Neal as well. Didn't think that lap traffic was going to be a problem here in qualifying, but a number of cars are going to find themselves having to deal with some of their fellow competitors as Tran goes a bit wide at 5.
Yeah, and you wonder if that's another 1X incident point that might knock him out. Oh, we see Fenbert keep it off of the wall, though, in 7. Good job of driving to not impact that driver's right side wall. Now Jamie L. Gummer approaching that brake zone here down in turn 10A.
All right, can he make up those 4,000s to beat Madden to the pole position? I think he'll have one more lap after this. He'll cross the line just in time. He goes way too wide, though. I'm pretty sure that just deleted the lap. And we'll get confirmation here as he comes out of 12 and across the timing line. Yes, that lap has been discounted, but just one last one to go that he has to just make up that smallest of margins.
Since it is that group qualifying, these drivers should be able to finish the lap as long as they have started it before the checkered flag has come out, which it is officially out. Lin Tran will finish provisionally in 6th if nobody hops up in front of him.
I'm not seeing anybody improving yet. Vincent doesn't go any quicker. Cameron Campbell will be the next one across the line. The as of unknown Drivers Club of Georgia out there right now. Not sure which driver that we have in the car right now, but the number 14 coming down the backstretch. Looks like he had a little bit of a hiccup there coming through turn 7.
Oh, you don't know DCOG? DCOG is always around there, man. He knows Road Atlanta like the back of his hand.
Until we showed the name there, the tower, I was going to jokingly call him Mr. Georgia. But he is nice and smooth down through the chicane, thankfully. Looks like Campbell did improve up to 10th with that last lap. Let's see what Georgia will do. And the 14 crosses the line and does not improve, unfortunately. And that's the last of them for our qualifying session. Let's go through our starting grid for the race. And David Madden will start on the pole for the first of this season, as Jamie L. Gummer will be in 2nd. And then Rafael Torres starts 3rd today. Daniel Vincent will be P4, as Jason Owens starts 5th. To his outside, it's going to be Lin Tran in P6. Stephen Denton will be 7th, and Todd Westfelling in 8th. The Drivers Club of Georgia starts 9th, followed by Cameron Campbell in 10th, and Tyler Neal in P11. Don't believe we will see Philip Crane or Tim Finbert. No, actually, Finbert is in the session, so I think we will see him start the race, but have not seen Philip Crane, who's just finally gridded up. So yes, all 13 drivers actually will take part in this one. Good to see we get more fun out on the track. And the static weather is very nice for our drivers out there right now, Joey.
Beautiful. Right about 70-degree track and air temperature. I also see that it's partly cloudy out there, so it should be pretty stable in terms of that temperature. You don't have to guess too much, especially here in the sim. It should stay relatively the same. You don't see the huge giant fluctuations, especially given that we only have a 20-minute race.
There is a bit of wind, as you saw, and even the trees are showing it, but it's consistent wind since, as we said, this is static weather, so at least it'll be predictable, but you still have to make sure and take into account perhaps the loss of downforce in a couple corners if you get that tailwind coming through. Going to give us a short pace lap, thankfully, starting right at the end of the back stretch down through the chicane. Then we're going to be on our way for 20 minutes, but don't leave after that because we'll have another feature race coming after this one. Ferrari will lead the way with David Madden's number 11. Can he lead by the end of this race? As the pace car peels in, he goes almost immediately. Madden is off like a shot, and green flag is out down to turn 1 as he gets ready to hit the brakes. In fact, it has gone single file practically through most of the field.
You see it really stretched out the entire group of drivers, but that may be for the better as we come up over turn number 3. It can be incredibly difficult to spot this apex here in the simulator, and then down through the S's for the first time. Remember, you got cold tires, a big danger area coming up at the exit of 5.
Yep, up and through that turn 5. Let's make sure everybody manages to get through it. It looks like we have our first victim. That is Jason Owens, who spun off to the side of the track, but is the only one, I think, who has gone off through the corner here on the first lap. But now we hit the backstretch, the ever-important exit of turn 7, and it seems like Gummer's still within range of Madden.
He is very close to him, only about a quarter of a second back. I'm seeing that translates to about 5 car lengths as they go down this long back straightaway for the first time. It's deceiving, especially if you're in this P2 position. He's going to poke his nose out to driver's left, but remember, you don't have any temperature in the car, plus the top end speeds from being in that slipstream.
So good first lap here from Gummer to catch back up after he got jumped a bit by Madden there at the start of the race. But it will be Madden, Gummer, Torres, your top 3 at the end of the first lap. Only 20 minutes, a very short race out here, Joey. So anybody who wants to make up positions doesn't have a lot of time.
Ooh, and you saw Gummer get so loose on the exit of turn number 1. And to talk about that kind of 20-minute sprint race mentality, yeah, there's not much time to make up for it. Track position is crucial, which means you need to get it all in qualifying, and if you don't, you need to get the elbows out in the race. Hopefully not physically, but at least move forward.
A little bit of a run through the gravel on the exit of 5 for Gummer as he uses up every inch of the track that he can. The 14 has gone off, so Drivers Club of Georgia also finds that a difficult one coming through turn 5. Still, the top 3 practically nose to tail here on lap 2.
I noticed, though, that David Madden got a very poor exit out of turn number 7 that time. Jamie L. Gummer in this Falcon-flavored Porsche right in that slipstream. It's about where he was the previous lap. He decides to not poke the nose once again. And here we go, that third-place BMW of Taurus almost into the back end of the Porsche.
I know you like to take a close look at the cars, but if you're tasting them, I'm a bit concerned. Gummer, though, he's coming off of turn 12, back onto the main straight, very, very close this time to Madden. He looks like he might be a little bit quicker on race pace itself, but look at Torres close under braking.
The theme that I'm seeing here is that Gummer might be a little bit cautious on entry, but he is killing it on the exits. That allows this BMW to close it up from the back, and also the Ferrari, if you're not getting the exits, that's where you're going to need to use your defense. If Gummer keeps doing what he's doing, I have a feeling he's going to be in a great position to attempt to pass soon.
Got a little bit of good defense from Madden there on those last few corners up through the S's. But it looks like Torres had a bit of a problem, I think, there on the first part of the lap. He falls off by about half a second. Let's check in farther down the field. This is a battle for P10, Campbell versus Owens.
In front of us is one of those Lamborghinis that I was mentioning, one of the 2 Lamborghinis, and a flash of the headlights there from Jason Owens in this white, red, and black Porsche. Trying to get around. He feels like he's being held up. That's usually what that headlight button means. It says, hey, dude, I'm back here.
Well, he's got to make that pass because there's certainly not going to be blue flags that pull Campbell off to the side, but we got to go back to the lead because once again, Madden is under threat, but the aero wash just feeds Gummer backwards coming through turn 12 a little bit.
I think, you know, if you lift off the gas plus no weight on the front end of that Porsche, it just kind of exacerbates that understeer through turn number 12. But I do think that Jamie L. Gummer might have a little bit more pace right now in his Porsche than the Ferrari out in front.
Certainly feels like it. He's been getting very close to the rear of that number 11 a number of times. Just hasn't been able to effect a pass quite yet. He's going to have to set this one up, and a better run out of turn 5 from Madden puts him at arm's length once again.
And I also wonder, was Gummer maybe being a little bit cautious on the first couple laps with the brakes and the cornering speeds? Remember, it can be tough to feel these cold tires if you're not used to them, and now that everything is actually up to temperature, he might be a little bit more aggressive.
Exactly. Well, and with the open setup too, the car might need a bit to really get into working condition. This is a great run. I don't think he's close enough unless he wants to do an aggressive dive down to the inside. And no, he's not going to show his nose. He's going to sit and wait for a better opportunity.
I like what I'm seeing, though, is that it's patience, and I think that's a lot of the real-world experience coming out from some of these drivers. They know what it's like going down into turn 10A. They know how fast it is, and you have to be able to present the car and be in a position to make that pass, especially if you're going to try to throw it down the inside.
Looks like one of our Lambos ran into trouble. Westfelling, I think, made contact with Neil. The other one here, the number 12, is going to be a little slow off the corner, and picking up the pieces, Jason Owens is going to go by Campbell, taking P8.
Remember, Jason was flashing the lights just a little bit ago. Looks like he did find his way around that Lamborghini as this battle between the top three and our lead is actually starting to close in a little bit. I wonder if David Madden in that Ferrari is actually holding up Gummer, and it's actually drawing in the BMW of Torres in that 777.
It might be. The 777 looks like he's been catching back up as soon as they start to show inclinations of fighting up there. But another good exit from the Ferrari puts him away from Jamiel Gummer, and I don't think he's going to have the chance down the backstretch this time. I do see that Tyler Neal and Philip Crane, I think, have visited pit lane, or at least Philip Crane has, and might be taking his spare car and getting back out before the race is over. So thankfully here in iRacing, if they do get damaged, they can hop in, take that spare car, get back out, and continue on.
Something else I've been observing about the front too is Gummer is all over the back end of this Ferrari, right in the tire tracks. Is I credit a lot of the top end speed to corner exit and how you really get on the gas exiting turn number 7. But Joe, you brought up a great point earlier with the open setup. It could also come down to different wing angles between that Ferrari out front and the Porsche following.
That's a good point. Yeah, they could have just a little bit more top end speed. And Torres, let's see what kind of speed he has as we ride on board this time, coming down the back straight. He's gained quite a bit in this last lap or two. So if he could get a good run off the turn, he could be in with a shout. Oh, I think a dip of the wheel in the dirt put paid to Gummer's hope there.
Yeah, kind of all equidistant coming off of turn number 7. And to talk about Torres in that BMW, it was a 119.354 that last lap. And I'm looking through the entire field. That is the fastest lap of the race so far. So definitely this BMW mounting a charge about halfway through.
Up to 161 miles an hour by the time he got to the brakes here at the end of the back stretch. Kick of the dust there as they cut the apex off of the second part of the chicane. Gummer still working hard to try and catch up to his rival, but he's only got half the race left now at this stage.
Yeah, time is clicking away, and it's pretty surprising how many laps you can do in the GT3 cars, even only given 20 minutes around Road Atlanta. We're doing about 119, so clicking them off rather rapidly.
Not too surprising. This is not the longest of laps in terms of road racing. And up the hill they go, back through turn 5 once again, but now it seems it's Torres' time to struggle just a little bit as they fly over that crest, and then you can see it plunging into the banking of turn 6.
Daniel Vincent riding along here, trying to chase down the leaders, and actually he's going to be going around one of the cars there. I think that's
Torres.
Yeah, Torres had problems out of 6 and into 7. He's fallen way off.
Something must have happened as soon as we turned the cameras away through 6 and 7. Let's take a look at the replay. I'm guessing he made just a driver error up through here. Rear starts to come around, couldn't hold on to it, and just slaps the wall.
And yeah, and you see the damage on the right side there, and this is actually a relatively common one at Road Atlanta, Joe. If you carry too much apex speed, it can just kind of swing that yaw right around. But look at Gummer. He was so close going into turn 1 there. I thought for sure he was maybe at least close enough to present the car.
We haven't seen a whole lot of attempts there from Jamiel, so I wonder if there's going to be a point where he starts to get more aggressive, that he really tries to make a move out there. Also, recovering from his incident, Raphael has caught back up to Vincent, but now Daniel is the one with the track advantage.
Remember, not just the track advantage, but he also has the clean car, and Torres way out over the curbs on turn 5 exit, just really wrestling that thing. And I also don't know if there's any sort of steering damage. And you know, too, here in the sim, as soon as you get that bodywork damage, it kind of tends to have a lower top-end speed.
Yeah, certainly eats away at it. A little bit wide there for Daniel that time. This gives an opportunity for Raphael if he wants to go for it. You can see him pulling. Does he still have the speed? I said 161 before. He's at 153, 54, 55, 160. So yeah, pretty much how it was. He's going to look to the inside, but he's not able to complete the pass. He cuts back underneath. Very effective move there coming through turn 11. I think that's going to get the job done.
That was a nice piece of racecraft from Rafael Torres there in the 777 BMW. A nice over-under move, but Vincent's looking down to the inside here in turn number 1. The BMW leaves enough room. Now we're going to go side by side up through turn 2. Vincent finally backs out of it there, realizes that's not the best place you want to approach turn number 3.
Credit to Torres. That's a high commitment corner turn 1, and leaving him some space was critical, I think, for them surviving. But we might have to go to the lead because they're side by side up into turn 6. On the inside, Madden has been leading most of the way in this race, but is that going to change now? He gets it done through 7. Gummer is now your new top spot.
A nice classy move from Jamie L. Gummer around the outside of turn number 6, and now we're looking out the back wing here. David Madden in that red Ferrari is going to have to give chase. Now he's got the carrot out in front of him.
Okay, so is this what Gummer needed? Did he need this clear air to be able to try and run away from Madden, or is this going to be tight between the two of them coming off of the chicane? Again, those corner exits, you keep talking about it with this Porsche. It seems like it's able to get the traction down so much better than Madden.
And I just kind of have a feeling from what we saw, I wouldn't be surprised if Gummer in this Porsche starts to extend the lead over the Ferrari. It just seemed that he was able to hold the racing line a little bit better, was able to be a little bit more consistent in the areas of the track that really make the speed.
I agree, and we're going to watch now from on board from Steve Denton. Haven't really checked on him a whole lot, but quietly, he has moved up 2 positions from the start into the top 5.
Got that classic plaid FAF livery going on with the Porsche. Number 4 car coming up through turn number 5 here at Road Atlanta. Staying off of those exit curbs, always a danger area out there. I myself have spun a couple times off of those turn 5 exit curbs, and actually, Joe, once in a race way back in Spec Miata days.
That's right on board with the Lamborghini now at this point. This is, I believe, the onboard of Campbell that we're watching here. No, excuse me, this is Westfelling. So this is the number 21 who is sporting a bit of damage on the nose of the car. Let's hope he's still got the speed to try and chase the cleaner Lambo in front of me. Yeah, you can see the front just punched in there. Whoa! That's Crane, and I see Cameron Campbell trying to sneak by all of that. I think that Neil involved in it as well. That completely caught me off guard. I saw pieces flying.
This all started with Tyler Neal. You see BMW just right in the middle of the racetrack here. So I'm actually backing up, trying to see exactly where this all began. And I think it was just a little bit of a harmless self-spin by Tyler Neal through turn number 6. And then you'll see the Ferrari and everybody else come through. Just nowhere to go because Tyler Neal backed it up onto the racing line, unfortunately.
Man, Campbell threaded the needle, but then both of those cars got by, one of them damaged, so I think he's going to be able to get that back. And the 12 is currently sitting in 10th. Let's check in on the battle for 7th in the meantime. This is Denton leading Jason Owens. Denton, we were just talking about, he looks like he lost some spots as well because he was in 5th. Now he's in 7th and almost running into the back of him. Jason Owens has to get on the binders.
Remember, Jason Owens was having the disco party earlier, flashing those lights, trying to get around one of the Lamborghinis. Well, now he's got to deal with a Porsche, a similar manufacturer out there. See what kind of party he can put together this time, going down the back straightaway. Nowhere close enough to make a move here this lap, and you just kind of have to formulate where is Steven Denton in front of us a little bit, you know, maybe slower. Where can I capitalize on it?
Now, I'm curious, have you seen the new Pfaff McLaren as well,
Yes.
though? I've heard fans complain that there was not enough plaid on it. So,
Joe, it's a tough one though because it's like a brand identity, and when you transfer over manufacturers, I feel like you have to step into a new pool eventually.
yeah, I agree. You can't always stick with the same thing forever. Even Ferrari's changed their livery a tiny bit over the seasons. But we continue to watch this battle between Denton and Owens up the hill through the S's and into 5. Denton holding the upper hand. That was a good exit there from Owens. We're going to hop on board, seeing if this is enough momentum to challenge. A little bit of a defense from Steven, though, just to try and dissuade him.
Remember, Jason Owens has been one of the more aggressive drivers we've seen. Doesn't quite get the car turned into turn number 7, but equal run coming off of there. So it'll be Porsche versus Porsche. It'll be interesting to see, does there any top-end differences here as they go down the straightaway? And I see pretty equal, still hanging out about 5 car lengths back. Just not quite close enough here in 10A.
No, not going to get there in time. Speaking of liveries, I swear I had a Matchbox car with this exact paint that Jason Owen has on his machine. I do love the look of it, that white going on through the yellow, orange, red, and black. And you've got some little details in the white I didn't notice there before.
You know what it very reminds me of is a German-esque on a German car.
Ah, yes, it does look like the German flag. Now that you mention that, I had not put 2 and 2 together at that moment. So good catch on that one. And as they come up and over the crest once more, he's certainly laying on the pressure, but he's not been able to find a way by.
Now, and let's see how much they square it off here. And you see Owens all up over the apex and exit curves. He's closer to Denton than he has been in laps past. I don't think you can do anything here in 6, but you see him close it way up on the brakes here. Let's see about the exit of 7. Once again, just gets stacked up on entry.
And he spun the tires a little bit coming off the corner, too. That is music to the ears of Denton because he'll be able to stretch away. And as they come around towards the next apex, let's see if he can catch up on the way down into the braking.
You see Jason Owens felt like he got a little checked up there, was flashing the lights going down the back straightaway. It's just up to each driver and how they approach the corner and what their racing pace is. And right now, Jason Owens feels like he's got a little bit more speed than Steven Denton.
So another lap completed now with only 2 minutes to go. I'm checking to see where Gummer is. I think he's going to get the white flag, or it's going to be very, very close this time by, and whether or not we get the white flag or if it'll be 2 more left as we continue to follow the battle back here for that 7th position. This is on board with Gummer. Remember, we're doing about 119, 120 for the laps, so look for that marker. Yeah, this is going to be extremely tight on if it's 1 or 2.
What's your guess? Yay? Nay? I don't think he's going to make it. This should be the white flag coming here. About minute 20. Barney did wave the white flag. So if Barney was waving the white flag, we should be on our final lap.
Yep, that should be it. And this is everybody's last chance in this race. We got 1 more after this. But we'll have a separate qualifying, don't forget, for that one. Jason Owens still looking on Denton. Shows himself just a little bit down into the corner. But unfortunately, it doesn't look like he's going to be there in time. Oh, look at the exit, though, for the number 4, or for the number 10. He is so much quicker than the 4. They're off the final turn. Takes it over the curb. Bounces it a little much, though.
Yeah, and you see it actually cost him a little bit of straightaway speed down here into turn one, all up on the back of Denton. The last lap for these two, you gotta feel like a passing move is gonna be coming.
Surely he's going to try something. Oh, but he cut the inside of the corner a little too much. You could see all the dirt being kicked up. I think it unsettled it once again. Maybe just overdriving it a little bit here, Joey.
Yeah, I agree, but looks like we've got our leader, Jamie L. Gummer, coming through turn 10A, 10B for the first time, and he chased David Madden for the first bit of the race, but then took control once he got in clean air and collects the first checkered flag of the season.
Nicely done by Gummer. Madden will get second place at least, but he's going to have to strike back at that next one. As Torres, despite the damage that he got, was able to fight back into third. Vincent got to be ruining what could have been. He was so close to a podium here today, but a fourth will still net him points.
Watch the rest of these cars stream through here. Lynn Tran in the Rust-eze Ferrari going to be finishing there in the fifth place position coming through turn number 12.
It just, I mean, makes me think of the two brothers in the film. I just want to hear that car say pizza.
Yeah, well, you wonder if Luigi's cousins are the ones that are running that car.
Exactly. As we come to Cameron Campbell, who is a different Italian brand, beating, actually Westfelling. I keep getting those two confused. They're different colors, Joe. Campbell behind Westfelling crosses the line, gets ninth, and Campbell will wind up in P10. So that will mark the end of this race, as that is everybody now across the line. So our finishing order sees Gummer take the victory over Madden, with Torres in third and Daniel Vincent finishing fourth. Lynn Tran gets a top five out there. Drivers Club of Georgia finishes sixth today, with Steve Denton in seventh and Jason Owen in eighth. And it's Ted Westfelling in P9, followed by Cameron Campbell in the 10th spot. Finbert, Crane, and Neal will round out the field, with, I think, Neal winding up a DNF, it looks like, that or just wound up many laps down in the end. So I believe we're going to have a short break here for the Driving Club at Road Atlanta Winter iRacing League. Don't forget, we have more coming here in just a moment for the second race. Welcome back to Road Atlanta. We're here for round one of the driving club at Road Atlanta iRacing Winter League. We've got one more race to go, 25 minutes. We're in the midst of qualifying for this one. And we do see Dave Madden up on the top once again. But we saw last time, Joey, that doesn't necessarily mean anything. You can be fast on one lap, but it's all the laps that count.
It's pretty interesting, and with the open setup, he could also have a qualifying setup versus a race setup, and it could just be that the qualifying setup might be a little bit more comfortable, might be a little bit more hooked up, and is proving those lap times. But you can't always take that qualifying setup into the race because the ride heights will be messed up. You don't have enough fuel in the car, so that could also be something that we're seeing between that Ferrari and the other Porsche.
Now, we also come to a slightly different time of day as well for this one. You can see the sun is a little bit farther up. And the big thing that means is while the air temperature is still the same, the track temperature is significantly different. 109 Fahrenheit, it is going to be slippery.
And if memory serves correct, which it never does in my brain, that's about 40 degrees difference. It was about 70 degrees what it was before, so going to be totally different. And I think if you presented that to the drivers, what they have to understand is just your overall grip level is going to be down. The confidence that, hey, is the car going to turn? It might not be there this time. So you just have to approach the racetrack with a little bit more caution, maybe not push it to 11/10ths like you could with those cooler temperatures.
Well, we'll see who can manage to watch out for that this time as we ride on board with Philip Crane coming through turn one and up through into turns 2 and 3. Very blind corners as we've seen so far. He sits in 9th position right now, a little bit quicker. Actually, no, not a little bit quicker than Fenberg, Campbell, and Westfelling. He hasn't set a time. If you're not familiar with iRacing, if you go outside of what is considered the track boundaries, it deletes the lap. So you have to get a clean one in.
And if you come from the real world, it can be a little bit frustrating knowing those track limits. They kind of vary, and also most of the time it's judged based off of the center of the car and how far that center of the car goes out there. So you kind of have to drive the simulator, drive iRacing, use it as the tool, take all of your real world knowledge, but then once you are in here, you still have to play by the rules.
Exactly, and Philip Crane going to try and keep it within the boundaries here down through the last chicane. This is definitely a place where it's easy to go over those white lines a little too far, up to nearly 160 miles an hour in the Lambo before he comes over and down to the line. Let's see what this lap will be for him, if this one will count. It does. It's a 22.6.
Now, to prove my failing memory, this is a new blue Lamborghini for Philip Crane. I am not sure which car he was in the previous race because I believe it was Westfelling and Campbell that had the two Lamborghinis. But I wanted to point out the scheme. I think that this color combo and the graphics, they just look really nice on this car.
I agree, and yeah, I'm trying to remember myself which car he was in, but I'm with you. The first thought I had was, I don't think he was in the Lambo, since we had mentioned that specifically. But let's see if it suits him better. I mean, that's the nice thing about sim racing. The real world, it'd be a little bit expensive to just have a Lamborghini sitting around if you didn't like the one you were driving a few moments earlier.
No, usually the pocketbook has to be pretty deep if you've got the entire plethora of GT3 class cars in the garage like you can here in iRacing. I just think it's so cool that, hey, you know what? I don't feel like driving the Lamborghini today. I feel like driving the Mercedes. Well, you know what? I don't like the way that motor sounds. I'm going to hop in the Porsche instead. Well, you know what? I don't want to do the Porsche. I want to go to the barbecue and flame broil some hot dogs. Let's go hop in the McLaren.
I need more of the McLarens out here, honestly. It's my favorite, but unfortunately, no representatives this time. Just a few minutes left now in qualifying, and then we'll get underway for this second race. A little bit longer, but not by much. Maybe about 3 more laps that they'll have to try and complete in this one. Campbell's still in the Lamborghini out there for this one, so he's going to stay consistent. But he's another one that has yet to set a time, which means he'll start from the back of the field if he doesn't put one down.
come through turn number 7 in that Lamborghini here. And I remember when we jumped into our first qualifying session, how close Madden and Gummer are. Look at that timing and scoring pylon. 6 1/1000ths of a second separating our top two.
Interesting that they're this close both sessions in the qualifying, and yet Gummer seemed to be marginally quicker. I mean, it wasn't huge leaps and bounds ahead of Madden in the race, but it was enough that he was riding behind him for a long time, overtook him, and then put a decent gap on him.
Now, I want to make a general, very casual observation because I've only got about 25 minutes of data here. You can have a driver that turns an incredibly fast lap time, and that in qualifying is great. However, when you get to the race, you need to keep the consistency. And what I see is that Jamie L. Gummer might just be a little bit more consistent here in the sim today than what we've seen out of David Madden and the speed that he can produce.
I think that's to me, at least, the struggle I feel like most people suddenly realize as well. For me, that's always been the thing, that I could get out there and I could get myself a lap in. It wouldn't be a fast one, but to be able to repeat that lap time and time and time again, that's where I watch these professionals and just kind of sit in awe of what they are able to do. So that is definitely not going to be a consistent one. In fact, I think that's going to end the qualifying there for Gummer.
Yeah, but look at what it did is exactly a 119.29, so he snags that top spot. He was able to use that slipstream down the hill, whatever he could, and so now Gummer leading Madden by 5 1/100ths.
Wow, that's exactly what he needed in this situation. Fenberg, in the meantime, around turn 7. Looks like he's going to give a little bit of a tow to somebody here, trying to see who that is in behind him. I think that is Jason Owens in his white, orange, and black Porsche, who sits in 5th position. Might be a little too far behind to pull the slipstream. Fenberg also still needs a lap time, and I believe this is going to be his last one after this lap, especially considering he just went off the circuit.
Going to be tough to get around at that point, but you see the time starting to run out, about 10 seconds left here in qualifying, and as long as you've started the lap that you are on, you will be able to finish it. However, if you cross that checkered flag, that means your qualifying session is over.
Exactly, and there's the 0. Checkered flag is out. Lynn Tran's going to be our first driver to cross a 21.5. He improves up to 7th with that lap. He needed that one. Campbell goes off circuit there through the chicane, so that one's going to get deleted for him, and he won't wind up getting a time during this qualifying session. Madden abandons his final lap, and now we're on board with Denton, who has managed 6th so far.
And I'm looking, he needs to be able to put down a lap time here. He is in the 6th place position, but come through the chicane, turns 10A, 10B, up over 11, accelerate down the hill, and in these GT3 cars, it is flat out to the start-finish line.
Crosses the line, but that one doesn't count for him either. Drivers Club of Georgia going to be the last car across there in the number 14 BMW. Not showing them looking like it's a quick time. So 4th might be the best that we get out of him. And yep, that's not an improvement. That will end our qualifying session. Jamie Gummer takes the pole position this time over David Madden. Now he's got to back it up with a back-to-back win for today's races. Madden will start from the outside of that front row as Rafael Torres will be P3, and Drivers Club of Georgia good enough for 4th. It'll be Jason Owens starting 5th with Stephen Denton in 6th position. Lynn Tran starts 7th, followed by Philip Crane in P8. Last one to set a time was Tyler Neal in 9th position. Tim Fenberg, Cameron Campbell, Todd Westfelling rounds out the 12 drivers taking part in this one. So we lost somebody. I'm trying to figure out who we lost, though.
Yeah, I think we only had about 12 or 13 out there before, so it's pretty much identical, maybe one car. But as always, got this shortened pace lap out here, so don't have to watch them go all the way around. And I'm also taking a look at the air temperature, seeing that it's still 69-degree ambient, 109 on the track. So it's going to be very, very tough and treacherous this first lap. Remember, we saw one of those cars go off at turn number 5 in the first lap. You got to be careful there.
Yeah, it's a nice day for the fans, but not for the drivers. And the number 2 is hoping it's going to be a very nice day for him if he can manage to get both wins, sweeping the evening of races. Just waiting for the last of the fields to finish gridding up here. And there we have, as Joey calls him, DCOG, finally gridding up there in 4th place. Just need Westfelling at the very back of the field, and we'll be good to go for this one. In fact, they are already taking off, so not sure that Westfelling actually put himself out on the track. We'll see if maybe he'll start from the pit lane and try and make his way from there. Up and over the bridge now, and through the final corner. Here we go. Pace car is in, and just like last time, Gummer does not wait at all. He is going to take off ahead of Madden, making them single file immediately coming down into turn 1.
And it's going to be that Porsche following Ferrari, BMW giving chase in that 3rd place. Another BMW right behind there. And then I see in the 5th place, that's Jason Owens in that German-themed Porsche up and over the hill at 3.
Looking good here through 1, 2, and 3. Remember, these drivers all have experience at this track, so that helps them out here. Oh, that was a little sketchy coming off of turn 5 for both Madden and Gummer. Madden's going to lose a position as Torres goes by, but Gummer holds on to the lead.
That's so dangerous. Turn number 5, exit curbs there. Definitely caught out David Madden on the first lap, but here we go. What kind of power down do we see out of Gummer, Torres, Madden? Those are our top 3. I've really got my eye on the 777. Can he redeem himself this race?
Boy, if Torres can manage to take this win by the others making a mistake, I'm sure he'd be beside himself, because he couldn't quite seem to keep the challenge up over the course of last race. So I think he's going to need a little bit of help as he goes deep down into the chicane. And a much better exit for Gummer is going to allow him to continue to pull away.
I think I also saw Philip Crane get around Steve Denton here as we ride on board with Denton himself. There's that blue number 10 Lamborghini squeezing down to the inside of 10A, and now Denton looks down to the inside of 1. Not close enough to make the move in the Ferrari. Oh, bounces up over the curb, though, is Philip Crane.
Way too much of that inside curve turn 1. He gets away with it, but just barely. Has to go defensive into turn 3. Not often you see passes that work into there. That's how vulnerable he felt.
No, but it's sometimes just keeping in the mirror, keep doing the over-under, and an opportunity might present itself. Coming out of 5, looks like Philip Crane has gotten straightened out.
Yeah, and just behind them, we could see the battle between Tran and Campbell closing up as we ride on board with Campbell now. Up through turn 6, all he needs is a good exit here.
Let's see if the Lamborghini can square it up. He really takes a lot of that apex curve. Lynn Tran was able to square off that Porsche, and now it is the drag race down this long back straightaway. Who's got the higher top speed? Up front, Lamborghini versus Ferrari, and then the second battle, Porsche versus Lamborghini.
Jason Owens breaking down into the chicane, giving chase, seeing if he could do something on DCOG here, up and over the crest. He's close, but not quite close enough, and you can see the different makes of cars have different strengths at varying parts of the track.
See if the Porsche can start to close it up through this very fast turn 1. Oh yeah, actually a big mistake out of the BMW there. Looks like gonna have Jason Owens start to close in that gap on DCOG up over the turn 3 hill. Now down through the S's. See if the BMW is now settled.
Let's see as they crest over turn 5. Both of them looking nice and smooth through there. Remember, this is for 2 of the top 5 positions, so these are drivers farther up the order as they break into turn 6. It's going to be, again, down to that exit, which was poor for the number 14. Here comes Owens on by him.
And Owens was one of the more aggressive drivers in the previous race. He's side by side. Unfortunately, though, Jason Owens is on the wrong side of the track to make a move into turn 10A. We're going to see if the Porsche has legs on the top end. It's going to be a braking duel between the 9 and the 14, and Jason Owens takes it way deep. Can he get it stopped? Yes, he does.
Fantastic stuff from the number 9. He is now up into 4th with that move. Now, does he have the pace to try and catch up to this man? David Madden sitting in 3rd. Ever since he lost that 2nd place on the first lap, he hasn't really hassled Torres.
No, he hasn't, and I've noticed the 777 BMW of Torres, he's been about a 1.5 seconds behind our leader, Jamie L. Gummer, so I think that Gummer is actually in a very comfortable position, but we're going to see if that 777 BMW, remember, it came to life about halfway through that 20-minute race, maybe another few laps, and that BMW will be all warmed up.
Oof, both of them bouncing around.
Oh, Gummer off!
You're right, that is Gummer. He's fallen to 3rd. Does he have damage? Oh, yes, he does. He comes to a halt. He has to tow the car to pit lane. So Torres, I mused over the fact that he could potentially lead this race, and it's come true.
Well, and honestly, we're going to get this GSRC replay. Look at Jamie L. Gummer fly it over those exit curbs at turn 5. That is a danger area. We've seen multiple drivers get caught out, and this time he just couldn't keep the car turned. It lifted the front end and heavy impact.
I mean, we almost saw the same thing with both, I think, Madden and Torres, because they each bounced over that wide part of the track as well, but just kept it from getting flung into the tire barrier. So now, for the 14, this is a battle for the podium. Jason Owens, his move might turn out to be pretty crucial for him.
Well, and good for Jason Owens, because he had all of the light parties going on last race, so now he has got nothing but clean air to try to go hunt down David Madden in front. And it'll be curious, can the number 14 BMW stick on the back end of that number 9 Porsche, or is Jason Owens going to set sail and drive away?
Good question as we hop on board, watching through the windscreen of the number 14 now. Up and over the crest, not able to gain much through that corner on Jason Owens, but at least keeping pace with him at this stage, although he goes a little deep into 6. Doesn't want to do that here through 7, much tighter to the apex, and that was critical. He is now behind by about 2 car lengths.
Yeah, he has drawn it way back up, and it looks like we've had trouble for the number 8 car of Lynn Tran. This is coming down through turn number 12. Oh, that's a bummer. Yeah, it was the inside apex curb of turn 12 just upset the Porsche.
So Finbert also had a problem. Is this also in turn 12? Also the inside curb? No. He holds on to it, and it looks like he had a disconnect, unfortunately. So let's hope he can get back onto the track and carry on. Well, since it's now for the lead, I think Madden suddenly finds himself motivated. That's the 2nd fastest lap of the race that he's set. He's doing everything he can to try and catch the 777.
Well, I don't know if you guys saw who just popped out of pit lane. I think Jamie L. Gummer in that Porsche, even though he is several laps down, he says that he still wants to come out and party with his buddies.
Exactly. Will he become a fly in the ointment of this group? As we ride on board with him, we know he's quick, who's leading this race before his incident. He led most of, or at least a good chunk of last race. So what is he going to do here now that he is no longer technically in the battle? Will he insert himself?
And he is, I'm seeing 2 laps down, so it's just purely to come out here and race with his friends, and we'll see how much he tosses it up. But the number 14 car still chasing Jason Owens in that Porsche. I was noticing when we were covering those replays, this number 14 was actually all over the back of that Porsche coming through start-finish one of the laps.
He's trying everything he can. Just can't seem to find that one good chance to try and snatch that spot away from him. So they fly out of the final turn, and big blink again, this time from the number 14. And Jason Owens probably won't like that if they start to go side by side, because that'll make life difficult. Madden with a good run. Could this be the lead? He's going to go side by side through the S's. That takes a brave man to do that. Doesn't look like he has the guts this time as he backs out.
Oh, the BMW's all over the curbs, inside and outside. That's going to give another opportunity to Madden. You see the 777 go defensive on the inside of the racetrack, force the Ferrari around the outside. Torres lives to defend for another corner.
Couldn't quite get the job done, but that tells you the mindset that the number 3 is in. He's willing to take some risky moves here.
I think so, and I think that both of them realize, hey, we've got a shot to take home the checkered flag. Yes, Gummer's in our mirror, but guess what? He doesn't care in terms of overall position. It is up to us to fight who wants to stand on top.
Into the braking now, down through the chicane once again. Wasn't close enough to attack this time. He's got to reset and get back on it. This one, let's remember, is a bit of a longer race, so he's got chances, and I think Decog finally made that move. He has now scored ahead of Owens.
Yeah, it looked like that the Porsche fell back behind the BMW there, so now Jason Owens is in the 4th place position. This is the replay of what the pass happened. It was pretty textbook, straightforward down the inside of 10A.
So yeah, just a good run. Not much of a defense there from the 9 either, and outbreaks him. And once he's through, he just decides it's better to try and fight him back later as he slots in line behind his rival. So Drivers Club of Georgia back into the podium as we look at the lead once more. Madden's still doing his best, seeing if he could overtake Torres. He's had a chance or two, but Rafael's trying to stand up to the pressure.
I saw our lead BMW kind of have a wiggle, a twitch coming out of 7 there, and now you see him kind of go serpentine, try to break the slipstream from Madden behind. I don't think the Ferrari's close enough to make a move here into turn 10A, but you feel like Torres, he didn't get the exit that he wanted, and he is definitely observing what's going on in his mirrors.
Seems like that's just becomes more and more prominent over the years. Drivers trying to break that draft, weaving back and forth. Oh, and what do you know? Jason Owens just got the spot right back from the 14 this lap.
Deja vu, and I mean, I'm looking at it, it was an almost identical move from last lap, just swap the positions around.
Let's take a look at that one. I would be curious if they're working together, but I feel like they're a little too far back to try and chase the leaders down doing this, and it doesn't have the feeling that they're working together leapfrogging. Yeah, this seems like a legitimate battle.
This is definitely a battle, and there he goes. Jason Owens down the inside, a great outbraking move, simply done down into turn 10A, the biggest brake zone on the racetrack, your best passing opportunity.
That gives us a chance to jump back to the top now.
The 14, I'm sorry, just had a huge problem out of 5, and actually Torres, what just happened out of Torres out of 7?
And that's going to give the lead over to Madden. With only 1 lead change last time, we've already seen 2, and we're barely halfway through this race. Torres making the tiny little slip up, and behind them, the former leader watching on, thinking that could be me.
Well, I saw him wiggle coming out of 7 that lap before, and he had a bigger wiggle this lap. So now it is up to Torres to go back there and wrestle away that lead once again. David Madden in a familiar position, but remember, last race he led the first half of the race. Now he's got to close this one out.
Okay, Madden could redeem himself here, but does he have the pace to keep Torres from repassing him? Torres nice and close here at this stage of the event, down through the plunging S's and then back up the hill as it compresses towards turn 5. And once again, the curbs don't seem to agree with that 777. He took a bunch of that inside one.
Well, yes, Joe, I agree with you, but I have a feeling that the 777 BMW, he's just driving way too aggressive right now. He needs to calm it down and just collect everything up. When you attack the curbs that hard, no car is going to like him. This is what happened to the number 14 car, up over the curb in turn number 5, and a heavy impact on that left side. What is that, car number 4 or 5 that we've seen do that now?
Yeah, and again, I'm not too surprised. Turn 5, even for many experienced professional drivers, that is a tricky one to get right, and I've seen so many wrecks through there over the years. So that will force him into pit lane to take his free repair and get back out onto the track. And I asked whether or not Madden could withstand the pressure of Torres. Now it's becoming, can Torres keep up with Madden? He's dropped by almost a second.
I've been watching this BMW. He's driving very aggressively. You see him kind of all over the racetrack, and sometimes as a driver, it can be tough to kind of take a breath out there. You actually have to slow down in order to go faster, and I think that if Torres kind of realized if he could remove himself out of the car, he would see that. Either that, Joe, or just the rear end of the car. He's got no more rear tire life left, and from there, it's tough to get any sort of drive off.
Guess that's the road racing version of turn left to go right, thinking of that Rest-Ease car. This is go slow to go fast.
Yes, 100%. And trust me, even in road race cars, sometimes you got to turn right to go left.
That's true. And Gummer here is trying to see if he can move forward to stay in the same position. If we're talking in opposites, as he's not racing them for position. If you missed earlier, he has wrecked out of the lead in this race and is now sitting behind those top two, currently running in 9th out of our 11 drivers.
And credit to Jamie L. Gummer for not really inserting himself into that battle. He stayed incredibly respectful, and this is the 3rd place car of Jason Owens in that Porsche. Philip Crane now in 4th, in that number 10 Lamborghini. Top 5 is going to be Steve Denton in the Ferrari.
I want to give credit to Crane because he's up 4 spots, and Campbell is as well in the number 12. So both of them have made a really good time in this race so far, as up through turn 1 for Steve Denton, trying his best to catch up with Jason Owens. But we jump back over to the car of Gummer, now on the back of Rafael Torres. The gap still at about 1 second between Madden and Rafael.
Still a little bit of a twitch coming out of that BMW. Coming out of turn number 7, you want to maximize that drive off. You see the Ferrari just kind of start to stretch its legs up to 1.2 seconds is what I'm seeing. However, Torres in that 777, he has calmed it down this lap. It's looking much more consistent. If he continues this trend, we'll see if he can reel him back in.
I mean, if you don't have a crew chief to help you out, what can you do in the car to calm yourself down in that situation? Because I have to imagine it's very easy to psychologically just get worked up and frustrated.
You're 100% right. The best way that I can think of it is you have to remove yourself from the car. Like, it sounds silly, but take yourself physically out of the car and look at what's going on. Are you overdriving the car because of inputs that you are doing? And you just kind of have to take a little bit more of a cerebral approach rather than let's go attack every single corner and try to make the most we can.
Make yourself one with the machine, and he almost made himself one with the tire barrier. In fact, I think Gummer may have brushed it again, as that was the spot that took him out last time, and he falls off the back of Torres, who's coming upon some lap traffic now. Tim Finbert just in front. We're looking back off his rear wing.
That mistake out of Torres has led to a 1.5 second lead that David Madden now holds. And you were right, Jamie L. Gummer pretty much followed Torres off of the racetrack, but he was carrying even more speed, and it was almost like deja vu for Gummer. He hit the wall in an almost identical manner.
So Finbert lets him by. There's a little chatter on the radio, I think, asking Tim to lift for them, since that is a battle for the win out here with less than 10 minutes to go on the race. The number 1 of Tyler Neal, currently number 8 in the field right now. He's up 1 from where he started, and he's trying to chase on Cameron Campbell. Has about 3 seconds to make up to get to that Lambo.
See a little bit of front-end damage on this BMW here, but I think Tyler Neal having a little bit of a better race than he did in that first event. Still on the lead lap out here, like you were saying, in the top 10.
So we switch back now to Steve Denton. In the meantime, a lot closer to Philip Crane, about 1.1 seconds between them. So can he catch up to Philip for a 4th place finish here today? You can see that Robin's Egg blue Lambo that we were talking about earlier just in front of him, up and over the curbs. Both of them looking a lot more solid than what we've seen from some drivers over that part.
Through turn number 6, a deceivingly fast turn. Not a lot of people talk about turn number 6, but you can carry so much apex speed, entry speed into that corner because you've got extra banking, you've got that camber in the track to really support that extra grip.
Absolutely, and that's one thing I do love about it is the but it has that camber to it and that compression that, I don't know, every time it feels like I could just attack that corner and chuck the car in.
It is, and I think what's so deceiving about it, Joe, is that you go so fast into it and you're standing on the gas coming out of it that turn 7 approaches so quickly that it can actually catch you out.
That it does. That's the other thing that happens to me often out of there. Or just clipping the grass on the exit of 6 and finding it spitting you across the track like we already saw today as well. In the meantime, our driver here in 5th place, appropriately in the number 5, has not caught up any this last lap. It's still about 1 second apart between himself and Phillip. So I'll have to start maybe doing something a little bit different to see if he can play catch up. 5 minutes left on the clock, so he's going to run out of time quickly.
Yeah, I'm going to have to start to make a move real in that track position. As they're in that familiar turn 6 that I was just talking about, leading out onto the back straightaway as well. And hey, you know what? Tip of the cap to David Madden, our leader, because it was 1 second and then it kind of floated out to 1.5 seconds because of some lap traffic. Well, he stretched it all the way out. I'm looking almost 2.5 seconds now over that 777 BMW.
Yeah, I wonder if that slipstream was helping Raphael quite a bit, hanging on to Madden and allowing him a chance to try and fight for this one. But now that it's gone, it just cannot keep up. Denton, in a bit of a similar situation, he probably feels a tiny little bit of pull. Not much, though. Crane actually ran away from him a bit that time. It's up to 1.8 now, so turning it up, it looks like the number 10 is trying to make this a little bit more comfortable for himself.
I agree with you, and I think he's just floating in that range that's tantalizingly close to the draft, right? If you're at about 1 second, you can definitely feel it here in the sim, and then as you get closer, it gets stronger and stronger. But at about 1 to 1.2, maybe 1.3 seconds, it really starts to fade off. So in the case of Steve Denton, that has now fallen back to, now it's up to 2.2 seconds. He's really struggling.
Yeah, I'm seeing a theme starting to develop here. So it seems like the drivers pretty much into their positions, and if you drop that draft, well, then there goes your opportunity to try and attack for one more spot by the end of this race. Madden's coming around to the start-finish line right now. We're on board with Torres, who's going to put another lap on, I think that was Campbell that he just went by that time. But let's see, should be, again, it might be pretty close if my timing is looking correctly. No, excuse me, it won't be close this time. I think it's 3 laps left.
Well, your guess on math is probably better than mine. I was noticing that Cameron Campbell, unfortunately, just went off there in turn number 1 in his Lamborghini there as we were watching Rafael Torres go to the inside. But I still think that the 777, this BMW, is a little bit of a redemption drive. Remember the first race? He made that self-mistake and he spun and made contact, and it was just downhill from there. I would say as long as he can keep it on the concrete, collect this 2nd place, I would say that's a good momentum builder. Right on board with Torres here. He's that wheel looked very light coming through turn 7. It was counter steering a good bit. It is a hot track, so it might just be the slickness of it, but I wonder if he set the car up to where it's just been abused a bit too much over the course of this stint. Well, and I'm going to get a little nerdy here if we stay on board. Please do. It looks pushy loose to me, right? So it looks like the car doesn't want to turn in the first half, right? So he's got some understeer built into it, or it might not built into it, it just has understeer. And then when he wants it to turn, it turns too much on him, and then it's loose on the exit. So that's a condition that we call pushy loose, is that it doesn't turn going in. You have so much steering angle cranked into it, by the time it actually turns, it turns way too much. Well, he's just only got to make 2 more laps now, and thankfully my estimations were correct. That's a rarity as we get ready to finish this one very shortly. And Cameron Campbell seems to have had a major problem because he's come in and parked the car. We also saw sights of Tyler Neal having an off in turn 5 as he corrected the car, but we didn't see quite what happened. Do we maybe have a replay of that? No, we've got Campbell here coming in turn 1. And he's already got damage missing the hood. He understeers off the course. Doesn't look like he hits anything. Looks like he's just had enough for the day. Yeah, and I think that the 777 BMW is right in front of him, just probably too much apex speed, and that's why Campbell went off, just trying to follow him. And this is Tyler Neal coming through turn number 5, just loses the back end. It wasn't the exit curbs that time, it was just simply too much speed going into the corner.
It's probably the least damaging wreck we've seen in turn 5 all day, as he manages not to hit anything and pull it back around and keep going. White flag is out for Madden now, as Torres has fallen back to 2.5 seconds. We said that David needed some redemption. He's working hard to earn it today.
Well, and he's doing a great job, really. Once he had that battle with Torres and he got out in front, he hasn't made any mistakes. He's had to deal with some lap traffic. He's definitely had to deal with pressure in the mirror from that 777. So terrific job. He's just got to close it out.
Few more corners to go around this track, up into 6, and then to the highest part here at turn 7 as he turns to the right over the blind crest, and then it's foot to the floor along the weaving backstretch here at Road Atlanta. I wonder if he's backing it off just a little to bring it home, because it's down to under 2 seconds.
I think so. I think the biggest thing on a victory lap is don't change what you're doing. But hey, if you want to brake a little bit early, that's okay, so that way you don't go flowing or flying through a corner.
Just keep it within the boundaries and keep your momentum going. As he exits out of the chicane, it has indeed come down, but it doesn't matter, because David Madden is going to win race number 2 of round 1.
Fantastic drive from the Ferrari. Rafael Torres will finish in 2nd place, and then Philip Crane here in this turquoise Lamborghini. He's on pace to collect that 3rd place podium.
And it was supposed to be other drivers, wasn't it? There, I'm trying to remember when he moved up into this spot.
Well, Philip Crane he's been moving up quite a bit. Oh, I think that was Decock coming around the back. And I noticed this at the end of the first race, Joe. They definitely like to have a little bit of a demo derby here in T1.
They do indeed. So they're going to bang up the cars. They don't need them anymore. They don't cost them any money. So everybody's going to enjoy themselves, as I believe Lynn Tran is going to be the last of our drivers to finish on the lead lap for race number 2 today, as we see the Rust-eze car. Or no, that's not the Rust-eze car. He's switched over to the Porsche on this 2nd race. As he will wrap it up, though, across the line, and that's going to take us to a quick break. We'll be back with the unofficial results as well as driver interviews, so stick around.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Welcome back to Road Atlanta. Race number 2 saw a different winner from last time, but it was the man that took the pole of the first race. David Madden started from second, survived where others made mistakes here today, and he took victory over Rafael Torres. It says 1.3 seconds, but it could have been even farther away as he was pulling away before he backed off at the end of the race. Philip Crane gets a bit of a surprise podium today, starting from 8th place, finishing 3rd, and Stephen Denton winds up P4. Jason Owens fell back to 5th, unfortunately, after some errors midway through the race. Lynn Tran, last one on the lead lap, in 6th. Jamie O'Gummer was only 1 lap down, so he got his lap back, but he still finished in 7th as Tyler Neal was 8th and Drivers Club of Georgia was 9th. Cameron Campbell, P10, and Tim Fenbert in 11th. Wes Felling did not start this race. And I think we've got Rafael with us here. It looks like 2nd place finisher in the race. Rafael, so close, but so far. You were ahead of Madden for a chunk of that one, but what happened?
What can I say? The tires got cooked. The left tires were over 28 PSI. I was just damaging control, brake bias adjustment, traction control, throwing the whole tech at the car. Tires were gone.
You had yourself inherit the lead after a mistake from Gummer. What kind of state were you in when inside the car? Did you feel the pressure? Was it making you nervous having David right behind you?
Yeah, as soon as Jamil hit the wall coming out of turn 5, I knew I had to have a perfect turn 6 and an awesome turn 7 to try to maintain that lead. So, and I knew how fast Daniel was. He's pretty fast. He has good equipment, and that car seems to be a little quicker than the BMW. So, yeah, pressure was on for sure.
Well, it's only a 5-event season. We've got 2 races per. Finishing 2nd and 3rd, it's not going to be too shabby for your points. How does that make you feel going into the season?
Positive for sure. Maybe a little, incentivized to try harder in practice before showing up, working on the car setup a little bit better, and maybe exploring the boundaries outside of BMW and try to run a different car. I always try to stick with the BMW.
Well, it certainly seems to be serving you well because you're looking fast in it, and congratulations on a double podium.
Thank you. Thank you.
That was Rafael Torres, who finished 2nd here today. I believe Joey has caught up with 5th place finisher Jason Owens.
Well, Jason Owens, congratulations on the top 5 here tonight. How do you feel the race number 2 went for you?
Well, it started off pretty good, running right up with the leaders most of the time, and me and Cal had a good fight. And then I got, wide in 5, and he kind of followed me and kind of lost it. And I ran 3rd most of the race until I just got loose towards the end of the race. I think 2nd last lap, and got bit by the traction control where I couldn't get enough throttle to bring it back straight. So, yeah.
Gotta ask you, you seem to be one of the more aggressive drivers coming up through the field in race number 1, and then had your fair share of battles in race number 2. You got any real world racing experience that you bring over that kind of induces that?
Yeah, I'm actually one of the coaches at the driving club every member day, and I've been racing in various different platforms for many years.
Well, that is pretty cool. And I think the last question I had for you, we were guessing up here, did you design that paint? Is that based off of a German flag theme, or where did you come up with that Porsche paint?
Oh, I just found that one on Trading Paints. I usually do my own paints, but I just haven't had a lot of free time to do one this season. So.
Well, Jason, thank you so much for coming out and racing with us. And before I let you go, is there anybody that you want to say hi to?
I want to say hi to my wife. I think she might be in bed watching right now.
Well, that was Jason Owens coming home with a top 5 finish here in race number 2.
And I believe we're going to be talking to David Madden now. And David, you kind of missed out on the win in the first race. You came back and took the victory in the second one. Did you need that redemption?
Jamil's quick. So that first race, I was giving it everything that I knew, and I didn't feel like my tires had the grip, and so I just kind of resigned myself to second. I don't have an issue with collecting points, but it was fun getting a win in race 1. I hate that Jamil wrecked out. He probably would have won again if he held it in turn 5.
Yeah, it was a bit of a shame, but it's you have to get to the finish to win the race. Yeah, exactly. Well, speaking of which, we noticed that it looked like you seemed to back off a little bit on that last lap. Were you just trying to bring it home?
Oh yeah. You don't want to lose it in the last lap. I knew I had a 3-second lead and didn't have anything to prove, so I definitely took a much lower pace to but. The 296 and then I think the improvements in iRacing, like the cars are a lot more stable than they used to be, so it is easier to drive fast. I definitely backed off last lap.
Well, you start things off with a second and a first at you guys' home track, but we're heading off to Sebring for the next one. Is that going to be a little bit more tricky than a place like here? We've got so much experience.
Yeah. I think we're all, we certainly enjoy Road Atlanta in real life, but spend time on the sim too. Sebring, of course, that bumpy turn 1 seems to be, it certainly has some other places that'll catch you out too, but that's like the most dangerous turn. Sebring's a great challenge, and I'm looking forward to the race.
We are as well. Congratulations on starting things off, and hopefully we'll get to chat with you down in Florida.
Great. Thanks for having me.
That was your winner, Dave Madden, there in race number 2. One last one to talk to. Joey's caught up with Cameron Campbell.
Cameron Campbell coming home with a 10th place here in race number 2. How did you feel like the first race of this DCRA series went for you tonight?
It was not my best performance. I struggled a lot. I think that's due to my lack of practice leading up to this race, joining the session late, and just getting enough time to qualify down there at the bottom. So it was pretty tough.
Well, since you didn't get a bunch of practice time in, what drew you to the Lamborghini for the car choice?
I actually didn't. I haven't driven since the new season, so I usually drive the Porsche. And I didn't have the new 992, so I went with what I had.
Well, it seemed to be like a little bit of an adventurous race for you. Looking forward into the schedule, you're going to be putting some more practice time in here. Are we expecting to see you move up through the order a little bit?
Absolutely. I'm definitely going to put in the practice time. I expect to be a little bit higher up, even though we have some great drivers and coaches here in the club.
Well, good luck in the future rounds. Sebring is up next for you. And before I let you go, is there anybody you want to give a shout out to?
Thank you. Shout out to the owners of the club, Trip and Diana. I know they're watching tonight, so thank you guys for everything you do. And we had a lot of fun tonight.
Well, thank you, Cameron Campbell, for coming and racing. And we will see you in the future rounds, driver of the number 12 Lamborghini here tonight.
Which is going to wrap us up. So, of course, we want to give a big thank you to our sponsor for this series, DiscoveryParts. Make sure and check them out, but also thank you to the team today, Ryan, Joey, and Dougie. Make sure to check out our social media, our website, and our merchandise store that we've got listed on the screen. And don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel as well so you don't miss a moment here on GSRC. The next race going to be at Sebring, Tuesday, January 23rd at 8 p.m. Eastern. Be sure to check out our other broadcasts listed here. And until next time, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.
it.